Hello and welcome to BusyWorksBeats.com. Today's title, you're probably like, what does this title have to do with anything BusyWorks Beats has been talking about in the last 2 weeks? But what I'm going to show you is that me learning coding taught me so much, okay? And there are multiple reasons why. And it made me a better music producer. It sounds crazy, but I'm going to explain. So the first thing is that it taught me simplicity. So I'm going to teach you principles you can apply to music production without us even opening up a snare. So for example, there's something called the print function. So we could put, print hello, and then we could put, line by line, we could tell it to do something. So hello game, and then tell it next line, print from, BusyWorks Beats. Now that technically will get the job done, but it's repetitive and it's unnecessary. So we find out we have redundancy. Okay, so if I hit run, you'll see it's just going to say hello game from BusyWorks Beats. Okay, we could do that same exact thing with less things. So coding is going to teach you how to simplify. Simplification doesn't mean easy. It doesn't mean not full. It just means it's organized to where we'll run more efficiently. So for example, I'm still going to have the same amount of stuff, but it's going to run through one function called, whatever we call this function. So let's call it the hello function. Okay. And in this hello function, I'm going to tell it to print a bigger sentence. These are called strings. You don't need to know all this. I have a Python course. If you go to busyworksbeats.com/premium, you truly want to get into the AI revolution. You want to learn coding. Python is the language to learn. And as an English speaker, this is one of the most exciting languages to learn because it reads just like English and it's super easy. The reason people have problems learning coding is because they're trying to read it from a book or read it from somebody who is just talking way over their head. And the next lesson I learned is that when you're learning, you have to go step by step. You have to, or else you're going to overwhelm yourself. So, let's apply this to music production, for example. So yes, technically you could chop up a sample, by the transients and time stretch it manually per slice, or you could just use Serato, which time stretches it using its algorithm all at once instead of doing all those steps. So instead of doing those 10 steps, you're now doing one step inside of Serato sample. That's simplification. It doesn't mean something is watered down when you simplify it. So when we're talking about how industry music producers simplify their beats, it does not mean the beats are whack because they're easy to make. It just means we're condensing through efficiency and getting rid of what's called redundancy. So nextly, you have something that I learned, which is learning step by step. Whenever I tried to go into this coding program, trying to jump way above my weight class, I'm not a heavy Python coder. Like I'm still in that intermediate to beginner area. Okay, so I'm not going to overly get arrogant and think I'm going to code the next Facebook. What I'm showing you guys is you have to go step by step. And the way I did this was when my fiance was pregnant, every night at like 1 to 2 a.m., I would just study. 1 to 3 a.m., I would just study for 1 to 2 hours a night for 30 days straight. Okay. And I learned more coding in 30 days than I have ever learned in my entire life. I knew nothing about coding. Like I could show you the progress I had. So here is that's something else. So here's the first day. I didn't even know what to put in the document. I just learned how to save the document. The second day, I learned how to use what's called a print function. The third day, I learned variables and operators. The fourth day, I learned lists and print functions, okay, and how to print variables. Then I learned about, importing modules and different libraries that I could potentially use. I didn't know what I was doing here, so I kind of followed the pathway, but I learned that existed. And the fifth day, I learned about what is this? The function, I forget what these are called exactly, but basically when you say something's equal to or greater than, I forget the exact word for it. I want to say operator, but I feel like I'm saying the wrong word. And then printing out different variables and different things. And then I'm into multi-line coding to where I'm now printing long documents. So long story short, if you go all the way down to where, day 30-ish, one of these, I forget the exact document, but I'm now writing hundreds of lines of code. I knew nothing about coding. Zero. I knew nothing about coding. And 30 days later, I jumped really far because I stuck to the principles of eating one little bite a day. I didn't try to eat the whole hamburger right away. And that's what gets people stuck because when you're trying to learn music production, you're going to get excited because you saw Metro and Metro had X, Y, and Z drum machines and he had this keyboard or whatever Metro has. and you saw Murder Beats do this on a live stream. So now you want to immediately jump to where they are. And that's the biggest flaw that we have. We get way too excited and we think we could bench press 500 pounds, metaphorically speaking. And I've learned that it's a lot easier and you actually get further by doing small things every day, because the difference is when you do that small thing, you go deep with it. So when you do one thing a day and you master it, well, not master, but you get better at it if you focus on it, is because the key, and this is the next thing, is that you learn through error. So when you're learning the lists, for example, and you don't know anything about a list, and let's say you write a list like this, okay, and then let's say even not even that, okay. So you write a list like this. To think of an example would take me too long, okay. But let's say you're writing out a list, and you're like, why can't I pick from the list? Because I technically did what a list looks like, but I didn't do the proper thing, which is to make these strings. Now, if these were numbers, it would be different. Okay, so now you learn, okay, in order to put strings in the list, I have to put quotations around them. Now the list will operate functionally. So it's those small little errors and those corrections when you focus on one concept a day that will get you a lot further. If you're learning mixing, focus on multi-band compression for just a day. And then what does multi-band compression do? But before we even get to multi-band compression, we have to understand the basics of compression. And then we have to go even before that to understand harmonics. There's a linear process to learning. And that's what I teach at busyworksbeats.com/premium. You're going to learn a linear process. People ask me, what's the best pathway? I say, get started where you get excited, and then you'll learn in my courses where you need to go back to other courses. Okay. But you need to get started where you're excited. You need to believe that you can actually get a result out of what you're learning, and then it'll make you excited to keep going. And so these are just little things. Also, coding taught me logic. So logic helps you understand how things work in sequence. So right here, we could track it all the way back to the beginning. Variable 1 equals 5. Then I wrote variable 2 equals variable 1. So variable 2 equals 5 in this case. Then I update the variable to equal 7. So when I print this, you would think that it would equal 5 or variable 1 still, and it equals 7 because we've updated the variable. So now you can track back almost like a historical log of activity. You can go back, and logic has the word log in it for a reason. You can log and see all of the steps to go all the way back to causation. That's what logic is. You're logging steps and action steps, okay, or changes, I should say. And once you learn how that applies to music production, you'll understand true cause and effect, which is the last secret here of learning coding, is that I learned what truly makes a difference. And the nuance here is that you think that learning coding will just be the magical key and then you're off to it. But the problem is you can load up the IDE and still have no content, no idea that you want to translate. But your intent is the most powerful thing when it comes to coding, your idea. You're simply translating your idea into the DAW. And I learned this when I was first learning music production. You don't know all the techniques yet, so all you have is your idea. And a lot of those guys who are first starting music production, they have way better creativity because they start with the idea. They don't start with the technique. Techniques just help you translate the idea. So learning coding showed me how important it is to have ideas first before I try to apply all these techniques. Now, to learn the techniques to help you translate those ideas, you can go to busyworksbeats.com/premium. I want to see you guys on the other side. I also have a Python course for beginners to get you guys ready for the AI revolution, which is already underway, as you can see. So you got to get prepared. I will say Python is my favorite coding language. It just reads like English. It's super easy to learn, in my opinion, and it's very fun. So go to busyworksbeats.com/premium to learn more. Peace.